Howdy, everybody, and welcome back to another amazing and exciting episode of Fast Charging with BnB. I am Brian.
I am Bear.
He says he is. He still has yet to convince me. I've never checked his ID. I should
It
do that.
it says it.
It says it. And as a reminder, of course, we're simulcasting on My Tesla Weekend and Bear's Workshop, but next week it's going to be on my second channel, the live channel. I'm moving all the live stuff over there. It's just going to be, there's a link in the description. Check it out.
Yeah, and when you guys do that, help Brian out. He's trying to get that live channel going, so please subscribe to his account. And what is the name of it? My
My
Tesla
Tesla
Live.
Live. My Tesla Live. I'll pop a link in your chat, see if that works.
Yeah,
Oops, that's a photo. That's not it.
a
Oh,
photo.
well, never mind that.
What photo did you send?
One of the ones we're discussing today.
Oh, okay. As long as it's nothing, you know, worrisome.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's a video. That's this video. Well, gosh darn it.
All right. Well, you'll get to that. We got numerous topics for you guys today, spanning across several different pickup trucks. Just
Yeah.
some new car sightings that we've seen. Want to get you guys' opinions of that,
Yeah.
and talk about a couple other things.
All that sounds good to me.
Are
I
you ready
just
to
jump
get
in.
going?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know the Chevy Silverado it's got over 110,000 reservations?
110,000, and you know what? I know for a fact I am one of them.
Oh, I think it looks nice. It gets, you know, any new design people are going to criticize. I don't think it's a fair criticism. Uh,
I don't really see anything that I would criticize on that. Um,
no,
it does look a little Colorado-ish, like the, but other than that, which makes it look smaller. But I know that's just perception, because this is going to be a full-size truck,
yeah,
and it's a little avalanche in
it sure
Colorado
is.
had a little offspring.
But
Um,
I like the Avalanche.
yeah, and I did too. I don't know why in some places it just didn't take off like it did in other places. It has a small cult following, but not quite enough to keep it going, huh?
I guess not. I guess not. And you got to do something different from time to time.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me about the specs.
The specs are decent. They're pretty much in line with the F-150 Lightning. It's going to max out about 400 miles of range. It's going to have a 200 kilowatt battery pack, which is very large. Um, we're looking at decent 0 to 60 times in line with the F-150. Still short of the Cybertruck, but I don't think much is going to compete with that. It's not even out yet. So, but neither is the Silverado. So I definitely think it's got the specs that it needs to. The high point on the price is $105,000, which is quite a ways up there. So there'll be people that'll buy it, but
Yeah,
at a high end Silverado gas, you're probably looking at 70, 75. I haven't priced one out
right.
lately, but probably somewhere in that neighborhood. So there's definitely quite a premium on them
Well, and
for going to
the
electric.
F-150 also tops out around 100, So it feels like this was absolutely benchmarked to match the F-150, which
Yes.
is what I think Silverado's been doing for 50 years.
Yeah, they do try and stay very close to each other as far as specs. They used to fight over torque. Now they're going to be fighting over probably range when it comes down to it, or towing range. I think is going to be the who's going to win the pickup truck races is who's going to have more trailerable miles when it comes down to it. I think that's going to be the most important thing.
I'll tell you my two concerns are that 39.9 starting price, just like with the Cybertruck and the F-150, it ain't going to happen. It's going to be years down the road, if ever, and I just don't think it's going to happen. And the second problem is the 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's three or four other cars you can't make because you're using so many cells.
And maybe that's why they're going to be charging for it. Now, one of the things that Chevy has said is that besides the high end one, they're also going to be building the low end one, uh, which will be released next year. So the middle of the road ones are actually going to come later. So high end and
Mm,
low end. So I'm not sure
mm.
where the specs are off the top of my head for the low end, but I thought it was around 300, but we'll wait and have to see on that.
We shall see. We shall see. Okay. Anything else in terms of trucks?
Yeah, I think we probably have a couple. Um, this particular one with the Cybertruck kind of gets my goat. Um,
Yeah.
being a drone flyer and watching this video, when I first saw it, I actually didn't see the headline. I just saw a link to it on Twitter, and I hadn't read what the problem with this was. And this was a drone flyer over Fremont. I'm going to turn off the volume on that, but I'm going to start running this video. Um, who about a quarter of the way into the video, I realized how low he was. Well, he just
Yeah.
kept going lower, and I was like, geez, he's got to be about like 40 feet. And we don't fly our drone usually below 100 feet, unless there's clearly nothing around us. But there is plenty of things going on in this video with people. There's people actively working on it, on the Cybertruck. And what are they doing? I'm not exactly sure. And let the internet have the conjecture on it. But towards the end of the video, you can see that they start to notice that he's there because he's really close, and they're looking up at him, trying not to pay attention to him, but he just keeps getting closer, and he just doesn't stop. And towards like after 3 minutes into the video, he decides that this is his property and he can go ahead and do what he wants.
Yeah.
And
And that's reckless and irresponsible and a good way to get everybody banned from flying.
yeah, and that's the big fear, is that this guy's going to ruin it for all of us. He literally comes down to about 10 feet, and he's just looking at the people as they're looking at him. And the woman in the video breaks out her phone, and she's calling security, and that's where they're headed. So not a good look for drone flyers. Really is going to cause us aggravation, and for all we know, they could be banned from flying over Tesla in the future.
Right.
California does have some drone laws regarding looking at people or going on private property and filming. I'm not exactly sure what the laws are. I saw some mention of it on the internet today,
Yeah.
but it's just going to cause problems in the future with drone flyers wanting to see what's going on.
Yeah. And he's just too close. That's
Absolutely.
just irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
enough about that.
Yeah. Let's.
Howdy, everybody, and the
Welcome back to
Ram,
another
the Dodge
amazing
Ram, is
and
the
exciting.
other big truck make model, and they're teasing a 1500 EV pickup. And by teasing, I mean just in the barest possible sense. They're hinting that it's something they may want to develop.
Yeah. And they started a webpage called Ram Revolution to for people to sign up and give their thoughts on it, which I thought was a little odd, but I signed up just because I want to see anything that might come out of this, and I want to be the first to know. But yeah, 2024 for the Ram 1500, and that's quite a bit of time off from now. So we've got some waiting to do. So it's a little disappointing that they gave us something which is obviously a concept and
Right.
probably will have nothing to do with the final product and what it looks like. So disappointing still. I mean, it was disappointing that they still hadn't had anything out. So,
Right.
and just with such limited information, it doesn't really say much.
It's a listening tour, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, they really don't need to. They can just go and see what's working right now. Ford
Just
and
make a truck for crying out loud.
Yeah, Ford and Chevy have already released the specs of their trucks, so now they know what they need to do. Question is, can they do it within a
Right?
reasonable amount of time? What do you think? Is it vaporware?
Well, yes. They're not even pretending it isn't.
Yeah,
It's not a thing yet.
definitely not. Uh,
Unfortunate.
let's see. Ram plans to offer electrified models in most of the segments it participates in by 2025. Have they announced anything else besides? I believe that the Roadmaster, I think that they've said will be have EV capabilities soon. But other than that, and I don't even think that they've given out specs for that. Certainly wasn't in this article.
No. And boy, they're just taking their sweet time. They're taking their sweet time.
Yeah. But speaking of the Roadmaster, Ford has their own version of that, and that's called the Transit. And they are going to be delivering their first e-Transit electric cargo vans to customers, which the e-Transit is popular for cargo, much like Dodge's Roadmaster and Mercedes Sprinter. But you don't, actually, I don't think it's called the Sprinter anymore. What's the Mercedes one? Is it still the Sprinter?
I'm not sure. I thought it was.
Yeah, okay. I think it was Dodge that dropped the Sprinter name,
Maybe.
or Ram, I should say. So Ford is at least getting ahead on this and putting out. They're going to have. They've got orders for upwards of 10,000 e-transits for around 300 commercial vehicles customers, and that the article says that is pretty good, being that the range is only 126 miles. It's not a lot of range, but it is
No.
still good enough for local deliveries.
Right.
But at the price of $48,000, I don't know if they're just cutting back on the batteries so that they can use the batteries in the Mach-E's and the Lightnings, but you'd think that they would want to go a little bit longer range for that
Well,
price.
and the nice thing with delivery vans is unlike a personal vehicle where it kind of has to fit a really broad spectrum of use cases. Uh, Delivery vans frequently, you know your route, you know your needs, and it'll either work or it won't, and that's it.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely won't work in the urban areas, that's for sure.
Oh no, in the urban areas it will. You'd be surprised
I'm sorry,
how
suburban.
suburban. Right, in the suburban areas, it would have to be an Amazon truck where the neighborhood is very small. If you're, yeah, there are people for whom it will work.
Yes, it will.
Uh,
I don't like the price point. So
so since we're on Ford, we should mention this article from Drive Tesla Canada. Ford suspending 3 major assembly lines, including the Mach-E, over chip shortage.
yeah,
How
WTF?
long are we going to beat this dead horse? Everyone else has got their chips back up to speed, more or less. I mean, some more, some less, but that's a lot of shutdowns
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Not only are they shutting some factories down, they're slowing down other ones and giving out no overtime just because why have people there if you can't produce the vehicle? So,
Yeah,
and this is a shame. Someone at Ford really needs to get it together as far as what exactly they need to do um, to innovate to use different chips.
I would think some heads need to roll.
Yeah, just not mine.
I think that's reasonable.
I am
Anything
not.
else going on with Ford?
Oh yeah, of course there is. There's quite a few things going on with Ford. Um, so the markups that some of the dealers have been doing, Ford probably took a look at their contracts with their dealers and they found a way around this to get them to correct their greed by letting them know that they will cut back on their supplies and their allotments of the F-150 Lightnings when they do come out if they are going to price gouge people, which I
Right.
think this was a good step. I think this is probably something that they had the lawyers looking at for a couple weeks to make sure that they can actually do that.
So one that I saw for a workaround was I saw a sticker, and I would have to dig to find it. But what they did is they said there was no dealer markup, but the dock fee was 99.99
Oh,
with
geez.
no decimal place.
So you've got some of these dealers you're saying that are like, all right, no markup, but we're going to have a dock fee of ten thousand
10
dollars.
grand. Yeah, yeah. What a deal.
Yeah. Well, I hope that Ford sees that and reacts properly.
Yeah, yeah. And I get it. You want to make hay while the sun shines, but if you're going to burn down the entire brand to do it, maybe reconsider.
Yeah. Not only are they burning down their brand, the Ford brand, but they're burning down their dealership. There's been a lot of when there's a company that's not doing something that people like, whether you agree with it or not, but the internet can sometimes go after these companies, and overnight you can get 10,000 reviews and
Right.
really damage the reputation of a company.
Right.
So, I
Right.
mean, they're kind of marching towards that if that's what they want to do. Though, if I saw one star at a dealership, I'd probably just be like, "Well, that's to be expected."
Tough to say. They do spend considerably on reputation management. So tough to say.
Well, they don't need to spend money on reputation management. They just need to change their actions.
It's cheaper this way.
Yeah,
Did you hear about the Ford Mustang Mach E owner who was hit with a $28,000 repair bill?
yeah, that was pretty awful. You want to tell us about that?
Well, what happened was the car had to be towed, and when the tow truck hooked up, they hooked right onto the battery frame rail and damaged the battery. And that's not a warranty repair. The battery is not defective, at least not, or at least that wasn't the flaw with it. I don't know why the vehicle was not running, but and the so is it the deal? Is it the tow truck's fault? Yeah, probably. But the problem is this was Ford roadside assistance. The driver called Ford roadside assistance. They sent a truck, tore up the battery. Owner just needs to call his insurance company and let them sort it out. And it'll probably be Ford arguing with the tow truck to get them to pay for it because
Uh,
that's ridiculous.
didn't the insurance company say nope, not covered?
Um, I don't. I think they talked. I don't know who they talked to, but if you have comprehensive coverage, it's covered. Any damage is covered.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah, the owner's insurance company is also denying the claim.
Well,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
of course.
and the owner is seeking lawyers in both U.S. and Canada help get justice.
Yeah,
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 I think that's at the top end. If Ford hired this company, they're going to be responsible for it. They can settle up uh, with the tow truck company, and the tow truck company really should have insurance for this. I've had business insurance before, and when, or should I say, if it ever happened, because that would never happen on my watch, we were to damage something at a customer's property, we had insurance that would cover that. And that's exactly what
right.
this is. Of course, they're trying to bail out of this so that their rates don't go up by saying, nope, wasn't us. Somebody else must have
Yeah,
done that.
yeah, absolutely agree. Oh, too much heavy stuff. Let's just talk about something fun.
Something fun, huh? Uh,
Yeah,
what do you like
like
that's fun?
like the pictures of the new Porsche Taycan Gran Turismo, which is like a fastback version, a four door. Let's not call it a station wagon. I think that would be unfair. This picture, I'm not going to say I'm a fan of the strawberry milkshake, but it's the shape of it is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I do like strawberry milkshakes. I'm not sure about it as a color on a car. Now, is this a Gran Turismo or is it a Cross Turismo? Because that's what it says on the
Oh, you're
plate.
right. Cross Turismo. My mistake.
Oh, okay. What does a car like this go for?
Oh my gosh. I haven't even seen the pricing on it, but it's got to be, well, I'd say it's comparable to the original Taycan. So 130, 180.
Ooh, ow,
It's
okay.
going to be it's going to be an outrageously expensive car in limited production for very discerning buyers.
I'm giving it a quick look right here. Uh, 2022 Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo from $93,700, a range of 202 to 215. Um,
Ignore that range. We know they're way better than that.
yeah,
And from is meaningless because Porsche doesn't include anything at that from price. You'd be,
okay,
yeah,
the
no.
the the turbo starts at 153 and the 4S starts at 110. I don't know what the difference between the S and the 4 is, except it's a letter. That's kind of vague, but
Mhm.
it's got to be worth $17,000 because that is the difference. on the price. And the horsepower ranges from 375, I assume, on the base model to 616.
Hmm.
And it,
That
go ahead.
sounds low.
For horsepower,
Yes.
uh, yeah, but at the same time, horsepower doesn't mean the same thing that it used to.
Right.
So,
Right.
because
And that's not what this car is about.
what would you say this car is about?
Uh, Style and handling.
That car looks like it sits really low. Do you think I could crawl into one of those without scuffing my knees?
I don't know. I've never seen one in real life.
Yeah, and speaking of vehicles that will scuff my knees, I've got a video coming out in the next couple of days from Electromechanica on the Solo. And the one thing I will say about this, I am surprised about how small and tiny that car was. It was so tiny, it looked like I could just wrap that up and put it in my pocket. But I got in it somehow, so I don't think it'll fit in my
I
pocket.
I showed my wife pictures of it today,
Mm.
and then showed her a picture of the interior, and she was not amused. But I don't
A,
know.
I thought it was very much Porsche-like on the inside. No, okay. Um, No, it's pretty basic. It has more things than I would expect. I mean, it's got air conditioning, it's got a radio, so it wasn't as bad as you might think it would be. And though I'm a little bit leery of the price point and the range, I still think it's a decent little car. It ran very well, but I don't want to ruin it too much. I'll have that video out in a couple of days.
Any
And
other photographs we want to look at this week?
yeah, why not? So, do you like to go boating?
I do. I do.
Do you like to use a canoe?
Uh, a large canoe. Yeah. Yeah.
A large canoe with a glass roof, it looks like.
Yeah. So these were spotted in Tulsa, three of them, three different colors. The key takeaway here is that canoe is still alive. They're not dead yet. And I hope they survive. Um,
Is that from
these
Monty
were made.
Python? I'm not dead yet.
Uh,
No, you don't
these are
get it.
not
Okay.
ex pirates. These are. I hope they survive. I hope this company makes it. These would, at the very worst, make excellent movie props.
it's that could be their future. Um,
That might be their future.
yeah. So, any idea on the scaling of this? Because it's just
No,
like
but they're having trouble.
no, I mean scaling as far as size. Like we have nothing to
Oh,
reference the size.
hmm. No, I guess not. I just assumed, normal minivan size.
Well, yeah, but you know when you what happens when you assume?
Yeah, I make. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Uh-huh. Um, but really the question is range, and different EVs get different kinds of ranges.
Oh, I lost my link. Let me refresh that one. Okay. Well, I'm ready for that. And it's funny that you mentioned that about the Porsche and the ranges that's understated. Because on these real world range tests,
Yeah.
uh, we've got the Lucid Dream Edition is taking the top spot at 520 EPA and 500 of real range. And these tests are conducted um, at 70 miles per hour. And then they see when the vehicle will die off. And that they try and get them as close to the same temperature as possible when they do these tests. Though I have heard some people argue about these and say some of them weren't done at the same temperatures as others. Though I will
Right.
personally vouch for the Model 3 and the Model Y getting like 12% less than the stated range right out of the box when they're brand new, because that's my experience in it. But you talked about Porsche having really good range, or at least more than what they state. And just about every Porsche on here is 20 to 30% to 32% more than what their EPA range is, which
Yeah.
they really need to start advertising for what they really have. Uh, it just it would just do them a whole lot better. Either that or the EPA really fouled up their their estimate of how many miles these cars get, because I definitely would look more at a Porsche if I knew I was getting 300, like the Taycan is going to do 293 or 297 is what they've got the real range at, and the EPA puts it at 225. I mean, that's a 30% difference. And
So it's not the EPA that does the testing. Everyone does their own testing. You just have to follow the EPA guidelines. So I don't know why the numbers are so skewed, but they are absolutely, yeah, crushing it compared to their stated range.
yes, and that to me, I like that. I like the fact that they're crushing it. It's disappointing to see the Teslas not making it, being that I've got several and I know this to be true. So I would really would like to see some sort of standard that's put down to get these things to be closer to the actual range, not EPA
Sure,
range or real range as tested,
sure,
but just something that's
sure.
more accurate, because range is the most important thing in my head.
Have you ever driven to absolute zero?
Oh my God, last week I almost did. Um,
Almost, but you didn't. So you don't know where zero is until you get all the way to zero.
well, I was told by the car that I was going to be at -1 by the time I got home. I had
Oh,
a series of mishaps where someone had bought something on Xbox Live with my credit card. So I went ahead and I called them, and the first thing they do is they canceled my card. It's like, great, now I got to wait for the new card to come in. So, not thinking about all the different, I was thinking about, yeah, this card's tied into so many things. This is going to be a pain in the butt. Um, the first thing that I actually got hit upon was we had to go down to Casa Grande in Arizona, not a little bit further than where the Lucid factory is. We had another stop to make, and on the way back, the message is coming up. Oh, your payment doesn't work. You need to find a charger, and your card doesn't work. It's like, oh crap! I didn't have the new card with me, and I couldn't stop at a supercharger, and so I had to baby it on the way home, going speed limit and just behaving. But at one point, it said, "Oh, when you get home, you'll be at -1%." I'm like, -1%, 1% of 300 miles. Oh, so I'm going to be at -3 miles. Okay, that's not going to work. Um, I did get home. We had about 3 miles left on the car,
hmm.
but so because I babied it, it was tough. But you put on cruise control and you don't focus on the fact that everyone on the planet is passing you. The old lady with the shopping cart is going past you and everything.
Right,
But no, I
right.
haven't gone to zero yet. And I know people have, and they say you can get anywhere from 5 to 20 more miles out of the car, and they've done it similar to these range tests where I think they probably did it during these range tests to see how much further they actually go beyond zero. And
Right.
I think Tesla was one of the ones that actually were on the higher end of having more miles left until they actually just shut down. So maybe that's where they hid their miles. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Speaking of the Porsche Taycan, did you see the sales figures in Norway?
I heard they were huge, but then I read it and I was like, is that really huge?
Well, Norway is a much smaller market than a lot of people realize,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the Taycan outsold all internal combustion engine cars in the month of January. Now, of course, yeah, 175 new clean petrol cars were registered in January versus 181 of the Porsche Taycan. So that is very small, but still speaks to the larger trend in Norway.
So I just got to question that. If we have anyone from Norway on the chat, um, is do they just not buy a lot of new cars? I mean, that still seems like a really low amount of cars. 175 petrol cars. I don't know what the total was with the EV cars put in, but it still seems like a very small amount of vehicles being registered. And I mean, that's an entire country.
Yes, but it's a small country. Population
Yeah.
of
Are
Norway.
you typing it up?
Yeah, 5.3 million. How many people live in Phoenix in the metro?
All together with all the
Yeah,
joined cities, it's probably I think 4 or 5 million. But
yeah,
I know we've registered probably tens of thousands of cars because that's what we do here in America is we constantly buy and buy and buy. But it still just seems
yeah,
like a low amount. But maybe
yeah.
that's just probably a better way to go in life is not spending so much money.
For sure, for sure. So you remember uh the big push this week has been to try and get the man in D.C. to say the name that shall not be said.
Voldemort?
Yes, that's right. Turns out he was willing to say it finally
I,
after much pressure. Breaking:
yes.
President Biden just acknowledged Tesla as the nation's largest electric vehicle manufacturer. And I'm not trying to be political. I don't wish to be political. I just think it's newsworthy. This is absolutely newsworthy. From iconic companies like GM and Ford building out new EV production to Tesla, our nation's largest electric vehicle manufacturer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, trying not to be political, but the fact that he wouldn't say it, people in the White House were asked if it had anything to do with union support, and their response on the record was, "What do you think?" And that's shameful because that shows people buying a voice, and it's just not right. I'm glad that it was said. I think it doesn't mean much when it's almost like making your kids say they're sorry to each other when they
Right,
don't really mean it. It's just being said. And
right. Fine. Sorry.
hmm yeah, Tesla is the one who's been leading the way on promoting the environmental agenda that this administration supports. So
Yeah,
why are they putting the unions ahead of that? I don't know. That's
I don't
not
know.
that's not a place this is not a place for that conversation.
No, no. Um, so yeah. Did you hear about the big recall?
Oh yeah, it's big. Fires, more fires, huh?
Yeah, risk of fire.
Oh,
But
yeah.
don't worry, only 500,000 vehicles are affected.
And don't park them next to a propane storage facility. Is that right?
Oh, good grief. Yeah, why? I mean, sure, sure, because that might as well be a thing.
Yeah. Well,
Uh huh.
here's the good news, and I'm surprised this even got reported because these are not on EVs, are they?
No, these are on gasoline cars. If
Yeah.
this was on EVs, this picture at the top would not be of Hyundais and Kias. It'd be a picture of a Tesla just cuz.
Yeah, we'd be getting like an Amber Alert on this or something.
Yeah.
Our phones would be buzzing. Attention,
Now, I don't
attention.
think there's a serious risk of fire. There is a limited risk of fire, a very small risk, but this gets not much attention. Not much attention gets put into this. And I think that's, you know, pretty
Yeah.
unfair.
Hyundai Kia says that there was a total of 3 fires that they know of. Now,
Yeah.
assuming they're telling the truth, that is not a big risk. And
No.
if I had one of these cars, I think I would still be parking it inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had an inside to park it in.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 Um, yeah, and gas cars maybe just going the way of the dodo.
I think that they will. Nissan is pretending like they are.
Are they
Eh,
though?
yeah, maybe, maybe not. They're going to end gas engine development, but not really. So I
Right.
think it's just in the United States. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Well, their belief is that electric trucks are not ready for all applications. And until they are, they need to continue with ICE engine development to
Sound
meet the greater market.
sounds like a money
And by the
pit.
way, Nissan is no longer as big as they once were. They will be passed by Tesla within the next few years.
Hmm. Yes.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, they used to have quite the product and quite the things that people wanted.
Sure.
Now,
The Pathfinder was bulletproof for decades.
yes,
Um, the and they had the Leaf. This was their market to own.
yeah, they were up there right at the front lines at the beginning, and somehow they managed to take their eye off the prize. I think they had too much shenanigans going on as far as the CEO and other issues, and they were not focused on what they were supposed to be doing, and
Yeah.
that is a
They
shame.
still have not hit their cap for the $7,500 buyer incentive. They
Even
haven't sold a quarter million EVs in the US,
even with the Leafs, wow,
even with, and the Leaf's been out forever now.
yeah.
So I don't know. And the new ones look nicer and they've got more range, but they're just not compelling cars, I guess.
Well, they're not. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. They're not very compelling. Um,
No.
but hopefully they can get something going here. Uh, they should have had a head start, but it just remains to be seen what's going to happen with them, because they would be on my list of legacy automakers that do not make it.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. We've done a remarkable job staying on task this week. I
We
think we should take some questions from the peanut gallery.
Yes, I hope you've got a lot of comments there. I don't have all that many
I've
in
got
my chat.
quite a bit.
All
Quite a
right.
bit. There are comments saying that the canoe looks like it's a Lego, which I think is great. I don't know. I like Lego.
Yeah,
The canoe. I don't know. It's meant to cater to a different market. It's meant to. It's for looking out. And if it was originally intended to be just a fleet of cars that they don't sell, but just rent. And for that purpose, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's not your car.
I think there's definitely a buyer that would go, I'm getting this because it's very unique. Um, Even though they look like a modern version of a Toyota Previa, I think it was.
Yeah.
Remember, um, God, my father had a couple of those. Yeah, he loved them, but they were quite the hideous machine, and they were also extremely slow. Um, they were dogs. But I think this is a modern take on that, so they definitely do look different. Um, would I buy one? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the specs are. Um, but I think they're kind of neat looking. I like the fact that they have no blind spots, except for maybe the
Yeah.
seats, and that's always nice. Not that with the way we're going, we're gonna have cameras for to see everything. Blind spots may not matter that much anymore. Um, but I think it's kind of. I think they're kind of cool looking. They're definitely interesting looking.
Sure. A comment I saw on the Silverado is that even at those outrageous prices, they may still lose money on every unit sold.
On which vehicle?
Silverado,
Oh, the Silverado. Oh,
especially with the 200 kilowatt hour pack. Wow. That's a
yeah,
$35,000 battery.
yeah. It really is. It I don't know what the price per kilowatt is on the Ultimate batteries. Hopefully they're able to get that down somewhat, so it doesn't cost so much. But I think at $105,000, I think they're going to be making profit on that. On the cheaper ones, which would be their work trucks, maybe not so much. But I think it's important that they can get these price points down, or their costs down a lot more. Because $40,000 for the entry level, they'll sell a lot of those trucks.
Sure.
People do not realize how many work trucks, how many basic trucks there are, where they're literally called WT is their model name, for the Chevys. It would be a 1500 WT. Um, I've got a Ford F-250 that's an XL. It it gets driven all the time. It has manual windows. My kids looked at it the first time, like, what am I supposed to do with that? Because they had no idea. Uh, but it doesn't have Bluetooth. It doesn't have anything. They're basic trucks, and that's what people will use for work. Workers will use them
Right.
because
Right.
employers are not going to be buying these vehicles that have all the bells and whistles for employees who don't give a crap about other people's stuff to get in and destroy. You're
Right.
talking vinyl seats, vinyl floors, uh, manual door locks, manual windows, and that's what my truck has. And it gets driven all the time. It's a great little work truck. I love it, but they're going to sell a crap load of those. And if they're losing money on each one, they're going to start holding back on how many they're actually going to produce as far as the work truck goes. I would guarantee on.
But what does a work truck currently cost for just like a V6?
Uh,
Probably 16,000,
no,
18.
no,
Oh,
no.
really?
I'll look it up real quick, but uh, you're it's going to be way above that. Let's say
Hmm.
and I'm talking F-250. Uh,
Oh,
let's see,
I was thinking you meant like a light duty 150.
a F-250 is gonna they all have V8s. They're starting at 36. Now,
Oh,
if you're
wow.
looking at an F-150, but the price isn't going to be that far off. 29.9.
Huh. So
So
39.9 is not insane when you consider even on fuel you're going to save 3 to 5 thousand,
right. So
and
I definitely think
the reduced maintenance and
they'll get bought up in droves. Okay,
for sure.
I have no doubt about that. But the question is, and granted, these are Fords that I just looked up, but Chevy's going to be in a very similar price range.
Sure.
Um, how many can Chevy make before they're like, all right, we got to cut this off because we're losing $5,000 on each vehicle?
Right. Well, they would plan from the beginning to make a pretty limited run,
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I don't
which
know.
is what they've done with their other vehicles.
And like I said, I got a reservation in for it. Whether or not I get one or not, I don't know. And which model would I get? I don't know the answer to that question either. I could get a basic pickup truck that I can use to do my hauling, but it's gonna again, it comes down to range because one of the reasons I have my pickup truck, my gas truck, is for towing. So if it only goes 100 or 150 miles towing a 6,000 pound trailer, it's not going to be for me.
No, 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 it would be problematic. Uh-huh. So there was a comment that Ford may spin off their EV division into a whole separate company. And I think that would be interesting. I don't know who would want to hang on to the ICE division. I think that would cause a problem there. But what was also pointed out is if it's a whole new company with a whole new division, it may enable them to build without unions.
Not only there's other aspects of that, and I think it's a great idea for all the car companies because they're tied into these dealership models that it's going to be very difficult for them to get out of. So if they spin off a new division and call it whatever it is, like Forge, like FJORD, um, or just whatever it might be, and
Right?
now they're selling all their electric vehicles through there. They no longer have to go through the dealer model. The dealers
Right.
don't want these cars unless they can make a profit when they sell them because they're not going to make all the maintenance. So
Right.
if Ford or Nissan or whoever it might be wants to sell direct, they probably have some stipulations that they cannot sell direct to customers. That would be my take on it. Do you know of anything like that?
Of them not being able to sell direct.
Yeah.
So my thought on that, and I think we might have touched on it last week, was that um, actually I think we talked about it in the pre-show last week, was that Cadillac bought out their dealers. They went to them and said, "Look, we're going to be selling EVs. You have to sell EVs. If you don't want to do that, sell us back your dealership."
Mm-hmm.
And some number chose to do that and just give up rather than risk losing all that sweet, sweet maintenance money.
Right. And I, whatever the reasons why someone's going to get out, that's fine. They didn't. All they did was give back their license to sell Cadillacs as new cars. They still owned and operated dealerships. Many dealerships sell multiple brands, so they
Sure.
just got out of selling Cadillacs, but they're still selling whatever other brands that they might have sold. Maybe they turned into used car companies. Couldn't tell you. And some of these are also smaller dealerships. So it enabled them to get rid of some dead weight uh, and move on. But these car companies are going to realize that it's much easier to sell a car and not have to give incentives back to dealers. If you sell X amount of cars in a month, we're going to give you additional percents off, or different, your cost basis is going to be different. They're going to, if they sell it directly to a customer, there's really no dealing. There's no haggling.
Right.
There's no dealing with these horrible dealership experiences that people hate and people are flocking to. It's one of the things that was so nice when I bought a Tesla, was to just get it online. Did I have problems that needed addressed? Yeah. Did they get addressed? Yeah. Uh, but it was so much better than fighting with a salesman and then the finance manager, and waiting for this and waiting for that. It was, all my paperwork was sitting on my chair when I got there. I'd rather do that
And
and not haggle, because I know
and
I'm
just
still getting the
dealing
best
with all
price.
the nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
If buying a car wasn't as painful as it is, it's the sort of thing that I would probably do every 2 years. But I don't. I'll just drive my car into the ground rather than deal with those clowns. Um, the a comment I got said their agreement does prevent them from selling direct. If they spin it off into a new company, I think that would supersede that. I think that would be a whole new dealer agreement. And if not, it would be like Saturn. Saturn was still GM, but it was a whole new brand,
Yes, and I
and
think
that would, I think, circumvent it nicely.
yeah, I think that would be a great idea for them if they could get out of that, the dealership model that's currently there. Of course, they'd have to go and get all the laws changed in every state so that they could actually sell them. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, the laws that their dealers worked so hard to get put in place
Yes.
to protect themselves. The other advantage is if they were selling direct, these markups that we're seeing from the dealers would instead be markups from Ford, which would allow them to actually build another factory, another battery plant, something
Right. If they
without
chose to do that.
hemorrhaging cash.
Yeah. Definitely, it would be it would be progress, and it would be progress for the consumer, and for the dealerships not having to worry about
Sure.
all of these things. I did get a question from Dave Johnson. Have we been able to figure out how many trucks at Nikola are being shipped out on delivery trucks per week?
Hmm.
No, we have not been able to figure that out. We do see more and more trucks floating around the factory site, but we just don't know how many are actually leaving. Uh, Occasionally, we see things posted on Twitter of trucks driving down the road, either on their own or being hauled out on other semis to a destination, but we don't really have a good number right now. And
Sure.
Mark
Well,
Potacek,
what would your guess be?
oh, what would my guess be?
10, 20?
A week?
No, total deliveries so far.
Oh, um, well, for quarter four, I'm going with at least two, because that's all all that we really saw. Um, and as far as January, I think we probably saw another four or five leaving the factory. But we're not there all the time. We can't watch it 24/7.
No.
So we know that we are missing trucks, and sometimes we see them posted. This truck left for one place or another, and we didn't see the truck at all. And then there's other times where we actually are catching the trucks being loaded up onto the trailers, and
And you caught a delivery of frames coming in, didn't you?
we've got a pile of frames that are outside now, and originally there was 11 or 10, and next thing you know there was 31 frames there, and 20 of these frames are looking a little bit different than the first 10 that were there. And we noticed that they had them stacked in piles of three. Now they've spread them out. They're all on pallets, and they've been doing work on each one of them, where it looks like they're drilling holes and making spaces for different brackets that they need to adapt for maybe the battery packs or whatever else they're putting in. So they're doing like some prep work on the outside. Now, you can say that they don't have room on the production line right now for these, um, or they've hired more people and they can get some of the prep work done before they go in. But we've been staring at 31 for about a week and a half now. So actually, it was at 34. So we do know that three frames had gone in within the last 2 weeks, And that's one of the things that we're using to base our counts on is how many frames go in and disappear, because that means they have to have room for it inside somewhere on the production line. And hopefully the actual
Sure.
production line will be completed by the end of next month. And then they can just run them down the line and add the parts as they need them.
That would be great.
Yep.
I got a good question here. Any guesses on the Model Y 4680 battery range? So do you think
God,
it'll be a longer range than the current one, or that they'll just use fewer cells?
that is the like $69,000 question. Or is that the
Sure is.
$64,000 question?
It's
Uh,
a $69,420 question.
that's right. Yes. So Brian and I have talked about this, and this is something that I've been pondering. And first of all, I know that the answer could come at any moment. Uh, but at some point, Tesla's going to decide, well, we're going to go with the same range car, but it's going to cost less, because the whole
Mhm.
goal of the 4680 was to decrease costs.
Right?
Or they can keep the range the same and pocket the money, or they can
Which is
come,
my guess.
yeah, could be your guess, or they can put a full size battery pack in, or as much for whatever they have room for, and suddenly get uh, 30, 40, 50% more range with the same size battery pack. And if they do that, then you could be looking at a 500-mile range Model Y, which to me is
Right.
pretty exciting.
An XLR.
Yeah, and then they could charge more money for that. Uh,
Sure.
but the big thing about the battery pack was that it's supposed to help reduce costs. Now, if Tesla's going to pocket all of that, that would kind of suck. Uh, the only thing that we get out of
Right.
it is a more expensive Model Y with longer range.
Right.
I don't want to see a $75,000 or $80,000 Model Y.
No.
I don't think
No.
that that's going to help the masses. I don't think it's going to make people go, yeah, got to have that car now because it costs $80,000. So, uh, and then they've got all the people that have already ordered cars and are waiting for them. Do they just give them the 4680 battery pack at the same cost? Do they lower the price? Do they say, well, these are our new models. You're going to have to pick one of these two new models. So there's a lot of things that has to be going on behind the scenes as far as what their decisions are going to be. But I would love to know. But the only thing that would really disappoint me is a $75,000 or $80,000 base price extended range Model
Sure.
Y.
Sure. Andy believes it'll be kilowatt hours the same, kilowatts higher, kilograms lower. And reducing the weight of a, an electric car is a big deal because they're still quite heavy, quite heavy. And that has a knock on effect in reducing the cost of the tires you need, the brakes you need, the suspension you need, the everything. It saves on everything.
Yeah, but if they're using the same size battery, but or the same kilowatts, I'm not exactly sure how it works because I'm not fully uh, coherent in energy density of batteries. But can you have a smaller battery that has the same kilowatts because you've got a different type of battery?
So the big reduction, the big benefit is the outer wall of each battery cell is about the same whether you're talking about a 2170 or a 4680. And so as a result, you get um, more pizza and less crust with a larger pizza, so to speak.
Okay.
So that will reduce the amount of weight that goes into just the shells, just the the cans
Okay, but aren't they supposed to get
per
like
kilowatt.
50% more or something like that energy out of them?
Well, yes, you get proportionately more. You get the same, for the stuff inside, you get the same amount of juice. You just have less metal holding it,
So
which will significantly cut the weight.
okay, and you would have less mass, less weight.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so for the same kilowatts, the car is going to weigh less, meaning your range is going to be better.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so obviously there's going to be a difference. one way or another, whether it's range or cost or both. So yeah, I'm just still waiting to see. And we really won't know the answer to that until they actually are done with their validating. Once they've done validating these cars,
Right.
then they're going to say, okay, well, production starts. Okay, so
Right.
what are we producing? We know we're producing a 4680 cell Model Y. What are the numbers?
Right. And it'll be posted to the EPA before anybody gets one. Frederick pointed out there will be no price cut until supply exceeds the current backlog.
But
And I think that's a reasonable.
would you buy a 2170 Model Y?
Not if there's 4680 ones.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
I mean, and that's part of the problem is if they've got 2170 Model Ys, they need to reduce the price of them, because I would surely cancel my order if I had a 2170 Model Y. And I've got a Model 3 order in, which is going to be 2170, but there are no plans for a Model 3 with the 4680. So
Right. Right. Another comment said that they could always the battery pack could be larger but software locked, and that they've done that before with the medium range, the short-lived medium range, and the original SRs. The beauty with that is if you've got it software locked, so you're only getting 80% of the battery anyhow, then you can charge 0 to 100 and not hit your buffers on either side, degrading your battery,
well, that's true. That's true.
making it less of a
Let's.
bad deal. Well, we're getting down to just about out of time. Is there anything pressing you need to address?
Oh, geez.
I would like to
Nope.
remind everyone that next week on my side of this, it's not going to be on My Tesla Weekend, but on My Tesla Live. Link in the description. Please head over there and subscribe so you can actually see it, get the channel running and all that, just so that my channel isn't cluttered up with the live stuff because a lot of my viewers just don't care for it.
All right. And also next week, my channel will not be putting this out live as I will be out of town, but it will be pre recorded. I hope I was allowed to say that, Brian. We didn't really discuss that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So it will be pre recorded, but Brian will be there in the comments when he's putting it out on his channel, and I will not be.
So yeah, the way it's going to work, it's still going to be on Bear's Workshop, but only for about 40 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes on this channel, I will be here in person. So you can chat with me or maybe both of us in the comments on either channel, and then be here for the actual live chitty chats.
Yeah, I've got one comment I want to answer to Octavio.
Please.
Hey, Baron, do I have your blessings to buy Electra Mechanica stocks? I don't
Ooh,
give blessings on things like that. I'm going to give you my unbiased opinion, and I'm going to let you decide, because I do not give financial advice. I'm here for entertainment purposes only. But the video
smart.
will be out in a couple of days, and you'll get to see what I look like crawling into a sock. So my entire body, not just my foot. So stay tuned for that. And
Nice.
if you guys have not yet, please subscribe not only to my channel, but to Brian's channel and his new channel, which is My Tesla Live, which is just going to have his live content, which is a new startup channel. So you could be one of the first. How many subs do you have so far?
103 as of like an hour ago.
I dare you guys to get him up to 120. I know I don't have a lot of guys on here, but let's get
That
over
should
there.
might already be there. Who knows?
The,
All right.
Brian's
So
giving
yeah,
away $1 million to the 120th subscriber.
1 million Zimbabwean dollars.
Ooh, was that like a nickel?
I don't think it has any value. I think they canceled them.
Oh,
Don't forget, Bear does have a Patreon. I have a Patreon. You can always support us in any way you like. I appreciate all you guys being here.
and
Anything I should say?
and I guess that's time for me to go. And I appreciate you guys too. Please check out both of our Patreon accounts. Help us keep our channels running. We enjoy doing these live streams where we just chit chat about all the latest EV stuff. So please take a look, like I said, at Brian's new channel, my new channel. Click the like on both of our videos because we love you guys and we want to know that you like this. So I'm going to say thanks for watching.